and we are again back in the Business Blueprint 2.0. This week we are talking about systems and CRM, customer relationship management. And we are again blessed to have someone of extremely high caliber, Mr. Stan Washington, the founder and president of Honor Services Office. Real quick, Stan, I always mention that, you've spent a number of years, I think it was like 12 or so years, at one of the most successful companies in the world, the McDonald's Corporation, as their director of technology and systems. What was your exact title? Tell us a little bit about that work.
The great part about that was I learned a lot. But when I started at McDonald's, I started off in the IT department, and I had to relearn a lot of things, IT related. I wanted to get out of IT, and I was blessed to get into operations, and I was promoted 5 times, and I became the executive over operations and technology for the entire nation. I think it was 14,000 locations. And that was all of the technology within the 4 walls of the restaurant. And that was just such a blessing. But from there, I started my own business because I was working with a lot of small business owners at the time when I was working at McDonald's. Believe it or not, each owner operator is a small business owner. And I worked with them to grow their business. Some we're bringing in about $1.2 million. Most were bringing in an average of $3 to $7 million. There were some that were well over hundreds of millions of dollars. And so I worked with those owner operators too on their business plans, worked on their local store marketing, worked on operations, and that enabled me to work on different systems outside of McDonald's that will help people grow. Most people overlook those systems, and we'll talk about some of those today.
So that is a blessing, man. That you would have experience on systems specifically at that level. Fortune 500 company, probably a Fortune 50 company. Was it a Fortune 100 company for sure, right?
Definitely.
It's Dow 30, so Fortune 30 company, right?
Right, exactly.
Would you consider yourself a systems guru?
Well, I don't know about guru, but I do know a lot about issues. When I speak about systems, it's one of those things where it's not necessarily the system that you use, but the systems that you put in place to address issues. And so some people focus on the technology a little bit too much. I would rather people focus on how they're going to address issues or identify if they're even having issues. In many instances, a lot of people don't even know that they're having issues. They manage their finances through just looking at if they have money in the bank, and so they aren't looking at expenses. They aren't looking at how their income is coming in, how fast it's coming in. They aren't looking at that. They are looking at their operations. A lot of people don't have standard operating procedures. A lot of people don't have things in which they can measure if they're successful or not. They just look at the likes on Facebook or how many followers they have, but they aren't looking at the systems that they have to really assess if they're doing well or not.
I think that's huge. An analogy that I learned from you that I use a lot when I'm talking is the analogy of the plot of land and what you build your house on. And a lot of times you get this vacant lot to build your house, which is also known as your building. And people buy the vacant land and immediately start throwing furniture on there and the window drapes and
exactly
just a vacant piece of land.
Sure.
You focus on before you get into, which is the Facebook stuff and the postings and fancy marketing materials, but you have nothing for that house or that business to stand on. Talk
Okay.
a little bit about that.
Sure. I'll go ahead into that particular analogy a little bit further. When you want to build a house, what you do is you buy that piece of property and they dig a hole. The hole that they dug is where they're going to put the foundation. That's pretty much the analogy of the operations of your business. They build this nice foundation when they're building a house. Now imagine having that hole dug up and it's all nice and muddy and it has a good square hole there for your house. And then you back a moving truck in and you throw all your clothes in that hole. The clothes are your marketing. And so it's one of those things where that analogy is that people usually market way too early. They want to build websites, they want to build Facebook accounts, they want to get on social media, start screaming they're in business, when they really haven't done anything foundationally to operate the business. So think about the house being built, the plumbing being put in, and all the walls are up. The plumbing, basically, and all the sewers and electricity, that's how the business operates. That's the stuff that people usually don't want to pay attention to. And that's the financial things that they're going to report. That's how they're going to deliver the product. That's how they're going to standardize the operating procedures of their business. This is how they're going to deliver consistently quality every single time. People don't pay attention to that. And so one of the things that you have to do first is build all these things first before you start marketing. And then you'll be able to do that. So once the house is nice and built and you have the walls up, then you can put nice window dressings on and you can move those clothes into a built house.
Man, that is a phenomenal analogy. And if you ever hear anybody using that analogy or in their talks, they got it from you. That's yours. It makes a lot of sense, particularly living in a world where everything seems to be online and it seems to be that you need to promote and let everybody know that you have something to offer them. But that also tends to prolong the process of business success because ultimately you're going about it backwards.
Sure. Sure. What I would suggest, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
What I would suggest is that a lot of people don't think about testing first before they go into business. And that's one of the books I'm writing right now, is to make sure that people understand that not only do you get this vision about your business, but that you should be working with customers to test your business before you even go into business. Once you know that it works, then I would say, okay, great, this concept works, and we've flushed out all the operations behind it. We know our systems are in place. We know what we're going to do, and we know how we can deliver with quality. Then you go into business. I wouldn't do it otherwise.
Yeah, that's I guess, that's why I'm glad to have you as a mentor and to work with me to help understand that, because I was the guy that was dumping clothes into the hole. And have just recently, within the last couple of years, started to make the shift to no longer do that and kind of pull back. As a matter of fact, Stan, I was talking to a business colleague last night about how much although I do still post to social media, how much I've changed what I post and how often I post specifically about business, right? And so you're continuing to help me and others along that journey. Now I'm going to throw you in the hot seat a little bit if I haven't already. What would you say your first top 5 steps are, or things to consider when thinking about building sustainable systems for business?
Well, that doesn't put me on a hot seat at all. Actually, this is being put in a book as we speak.
So without
And
giving away, and let me back up. And what makes you very, very different. I only know one other successful businessman other than yourself, a guy by the name of David Steward, the founder and CEO of Worldwide Technologies, has a book called Doing Business by the Good Book. And it's
Okay.
Bible-based, spiritual-based, Christian faith-based led theories around building business.
Hmm.
You're the only other African-American male, highly successful business guy that I know that kind of shares that very same premise,
Absolutely.
that God is at the center of anything that you're doing, specifically here, building your business.
Absolutely.
So
And
without
so,
giving away the book, because I don't want, we're not here to talk about,
oh,
we don't give away
that's
the
no big deal.
book.
It's almost in the wrapper, so that's not a big deal. When I start looking at what you should be doing first is asking God, should I be doing this? And that's the visioning piece. From there, I would say once you have that big vision and understand it and get your mind blown, then go ahead and break that thing down into what can I really execute. I mean, what are the things I'm going to really be doing, and how can I do them? You have to understand your skills and understand the skills of people around you, resources of people around you. And so I would seek those really, really quickly. Understand your customer. Uh, the first thing that people usually do is think of the idea and start building stuff instead of asking clients and customers. So I would say go out and talk to clients and customers and get their input first. And once you get that input, then you can go ahead and build something that is a solution to a product or service that they have. From there, there's a lot of systems that have to be put in place. I mean, we start talking about for yourself as a leader, you have to put God first. I see that up there, and so that's one of the things that you should be doing is taking care of yourself as a leader, making sure that you are the leader that you should be to actually drive this business. Because if God puts a vision in your heart, it's going to be big. And it's one of those things that you have to be able to handle this kind of large vision. So one of the things that you have to do is make sure you take care of yourself, understand your leadership style, and put processes in place to quiet down, listen, and be able to not react as fast, but act with immediacy. The second thing I would say is once you have this good relationship with God and you're talking to Him on a regular basis, then I would say that there are other systems that are structural in place for your business. Number one, you have to look at your expertise. So your expertise is something that has to be solid because you're going to be looked at as being the expert. Then after that, there's another bubble that goes around that, and that's going to be your business operations. If you cannot deliver a good product or service with great operations and consistently, people will not want to use your business. From there, guess what? You have to look at financials. All of these things can indicate if there's a problem. So if you don't have operating systems in place, you won't know if something is broken or not. So you go further out in the bubble, and that's going to be your accounting practices. If you don't have good accounting practices and understand your expenses and understand the income and where income is coming from, how often income is coming in, and what you're spending money on, it doesn't make any sense. I mean, so when you see, if you're managing things by an account, for instance, a bank account, you never will understand what you're spending money on because there's so many different expenses in there. But if you can label what the expenses are, then you'll be able to address, wait, am I spending too much money on pencils? And so it's one of those things where if you can just go ahead and put some accounting practices in place, then you know if you're spending money or not in the right place. From there, I would say that along the payments solution, automate payments as much as possible because most people pay with debit and credit cards, and so somehow or another automate that or get some kind of system or solution to be able to address that, and also that will be able to drive the information into bookkeeping. That's where you understand your expenses and how fast or slow your income is coming in. And so also those invoicing systems can also send an invoice that you don't necessarily need to pay with credit or debit. From there, you have another bubble that goes out, and that is your marketing systems. If you have marketing systems in place, then you will understand how to reach your customers, understand the audience very well. You'll be able to give them the right message so that they will consistently come to your organization and purchase. So from the marketing systems, guess what? You need to have sales systems in place. They're two different things. They're two very different things. A sales system is something that guides the person through the process and also helps them through that payment solution. You're working with the individuals on a win-win solution. And then from there, guess what? You have even further, you have this customer relationship management thing that we were talking about earlier, in which that's part of the sales cycle, and in which you have to be able to keep track of not only customers that purchase from you so that you can keep in touch with them and understand what their needs are, but you want to be able to keep in touch with all the individuals that you meet. And so you have to have some kind of system in place to keep track of all that information, keeping notes, and touching that person at least 7 times. From that, you have even another layer that's even outside of that, and that's the customer service piece. That's one thing a lot of people don't even think about. It's a layer that is left off from most new business owners, and they don't necessarily know how to keep track of customer complaints or what to do with that, or issues that arise, and they are going to arise. And so you have to have a system in place to be able to address all of those. All of that is addressed in the book that's coming up, and so I look forward to getting that out soon.
And so, Stan, I've been working with you for 7 years, and you've been doing this for more than 20 years of your life. This is very, very concise. You are very, very deserving. You are the man for this stuff and for this information. I don't want to even minimize it to calling it stuff. This information is valuable information to help make us business owners more successful, right? So again, I just hats off to you for being able to break down these concepts in very digestible chunks of information. I really, really appreciate that. And I think very highly of you, which is why I wanted to expose you to a very select group of individuals. And we've done even some of that work together. In this process, you've been working on a technology, a business hub of sorts, a business systems platform that addresses all of these issues. You're not just writing books and don't have this past experience, but you're still in the space, and you've developed and continue to develop a piece of software to make all of this manageable for us business owners. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. We developed a platform called Honor Services Office, and you go to honorservicesoffice.com, and that provides a number of automated systems that help people understand what to do with all the things that we talked about. So I'll go ahead and start with the furthest side. I'll start from left to right, and that is when you log into the system, you come up with a dashboard, and on the left-hand side, you have the ability to keep track of these new potential clients. So the potential clients that you're going to be talking to on a monthly basis, you want to be able to keep track and keep notes about all of those individuals. We also built a client management system within the solution as well. The client management solution enables you to keep track of those people who have purchased. And if you have the need where people need to log in and do things, then yes, we have a portal for the individuals to log in and interact with you, especially if you're working together with building plans. Wedding planners love this. Individuals who make dresses, or something that you work with pictures with the individuals, then you can work on an individual plan for that particular group. From there, I'll go through the potential client. I'll go through the client piece. I'm just giving you an overview at this point. Then the next thing is that we give you the ability to do content marketing, and that is you can write an article about yourself, and that article is search engine optimized with Bing and with Google, so that when you write an article about yourself, then more people will understand you being the expert. That's what content marketing is about. From there, there's a financial section that is very, very extensive. From there, I mean, inside the financial piece, there are invoices, there are reports on profit and loss and expense and income. There's places where you can look at your books and understand what's going on with your books. And so so the whole financial piece is something that you can track and understand where things are going great or where things are going not so great. And so so the financial piece, you can go ahead and get your reports through there. The marketing piece is email marketing, and we have a different take on email marketing. We don't believe that you should send out a web page looking email to your clients and potential clients. What we want to do is bring people to your content. So we suggest that you write some content, place that on Facebook, place that on a blog, place that on Instagram, place that somewhere else, not just social media, but on a blog and with some good content. When I say content, I'm talking about something that's very, very informative, something that expresses who you are as the expert. And what we want to do is bring people to that content versus bringing people stopping at the email. Then what happens is people start reading your content and passing these emails along a little bit more because they're driving, you're driving out yourself as the expert. So what we want to do is send out a small blurb, no pictures, but you can include a picture, and bring people to your Facebook page or bring people to your social media page.
That's the call to action, right?
That's the call to action. That's right. So we have things like see this picture on Facebook and see this, on LinkedIn or whatever else, and so that you can go ahead and be viewed as the expert. What we want you to do is write articles as much as possible, or write some things down in LinkedIn that's meaningful. Don't just post, I'm eating,
Right.
I'm eating breakfast. We want you to have something meaningful to your business, and then drive people to that. From the marketing piece, and also we have a thing called deep engagement self-activation, in which you can put a series of these messages together, and when somebody clicks, then they will get the next email. They will not get the next email until somebody clicks. It's not a scheduling kind of thing, and so we like that. And then I believe, did I talk about invoices? Yes, I did. There's group lists that you can do, and we also work with two suppliers for payment solutions. We work with First Data, in which I think they switched over to PayEasy. So PayEasy is the provider, and we also work with PayPal. And so PayPal, those two providers for payment solutions for the entire bundle. And so I can go deeper into that, but
Yeah.
I think that's enough.
No, man, and I think we lack, we desire, when I say we, us folks in the business startup community, desire folk like you with this skill set and expertise, and the folk that care enough to, for a lack of better term, put us on, right?
That's
To
right.
turn us on to the resources of having, I've always prayed for having access to the resources to be successful in business. And I promise you, I've never had this level of access before meeting you. Because again, you're bringing your corporate experience and, your traditional education, your formal education and professional experience to us, to bring us up to higher levels of success in business. And it's more than commendable, man. It's more than respectable, but it's very, very much appreciated.
Well, I'm honored to serve everybody. It's one of those things where it's a blessing from God to be able to talk to somebody directly, and so I don't want to shy away from that. No matter how many customers we get, it's one of those where I want to touch each customer and talk to them, and it just makes more sense that we talk to people directly as opposed to forcing people through some kind of customer service portal, and you never do really hear about business issues versus the technical things that can go wrong with the software. And so that's what we want to provide, is that service that is a differentiator. And guess what? We also pray for each one of our clients. And so that's where we come from.
Phenomenal, man. Phenomenal, Stan. Tell us a little bit about your ideas about how long it takes to build a successful business. I know a lot of us entrepreneurs get really anxious in the first 6 months, the first 3 months, 6 months, the first year of business.
Sure.
By year 2, by year 3, if we ain't seeing a profit, we're done, right? Can you talk to us a little bit about what to expect when it comes to building a successful business as far as length of time is concerned?
So I would say it depends on the business. There are some business that are hotter than others. When I look at somebody that's going to become a contractor or a consultant that they already have the contract for, that's immediate money, and so they already know they have the contract, they already know what it's for, and they can go right into business, and all they're doing is setting up the business systems that we're talking about, and boom, they're making money that day. But there are some ideas that are coming from scratch that nobody has heard of and nobody has seen, and so if they're addressing a problem, then what I would suggest is that within 10 weeks you can have a portion of that done, but it's going to take a lot of iterations, probably a couple of years to get a new idea off the ground. When I say a new idea off the ground, I'm talking about nobody's ever heard this, nobody's ever seen it. Just to get the structures in place to even get great tests going, and all the iterations that you have to go through of revising that particular idea. It takes a couple of years to really get that business off the ground. I'm just going to be honest with you. It's going to take a minimum of 5 years to go ahead and see something that is profitable. And I'm going to say something that will scare a lot of people: 5 to 7 years. And so it's one of those things that because you're going to be refining a lot of things, and the customers don't necessarily know how to use this new thing that you come up with. You have to educate the customers, and you have to understand that you're providing the solution for a smaller group so that you can get it refined. But just getting the message out there and making the mistakes on a larger group, that takes years. And so I know that it's not a firm answer. I mean, there's some businesses that start making money right away, and there's some that's going to take 10 years. So hate to say that, but that's true.
And I think that's a very good point. There are a lot of businesses that do extremely well. And I know there's these detox teas that are working really well for some folks right now. But also, I think a lot of times we have to remember as business owners, we want to set up businesses, but we don't like sales. We don't like to do sales, but it's all sales. You have to be comfortable with selling in your business, if you're not comfortable with selling, it's going to prolong the length of time it takes to become successful in
Yeah.
your business. And just for everyone again, how should a business be defining success, in your opinion?
That's a great. I'm glad you said that. It's I would say that in the first year or first 2 years, success is business resiliency.
Hmm.
Even if you didn't have a single customer, if you have business resiliency, if you understand what could go wrong and you put systems in place to address what could go wrong, that would be more important than getting paid. As a matter of fact, sometimes when some people get a little bit of money, that's the worst thing that could happen to them because they think that their business is resilient. And when issues like what's going on right now with viruses and come along and it just wipes their whole business clean, then they realize, man, I didn't put anything in place to make sure that I had a contingency plan if something else like this happened. Well, now a lot of people are planning in a contingency format, so they can understand if their business is resilient. Resilient businesses are businesses that can weather the storm. And so they put systems in place so they can understand where things can go wrong. Like I said, standard operating procedures and other things that they can monitor business operations. And then if you have those things in place, that's when you can go ahead and go out and say, okay, now I can go ahead and start bringing in a lot of customers and running this through a very strong pipe, in other words. I remember when I was a kid, we used to build clubhouses, and and so we would build a clubhouse. We grabbed some wood from wherever we found it, and it actually worked. We built a two-story clubhouse,
Right.
and so we did that, and it was just amazing.
Right.
But one time it rained, and when we came back out, everything was a mess. Stuff had blown over and fallen over, and so the shoestring bubblegum businesses usually don't have the strength to be able to weather the storm. So the business resiliency is what you should be shooting for. That's the first thing that you put on your plate. And you build that business resiliency with your customers. It's one of those things where you shouldn't be building anything without customer input. If you're starting with your own idea, I would say you need to get some customer input right away.
Good points, man. Very, very good points. Stan, you have given us 4 years of college education here today in about 30 minutes. Where can people, first of all, are you open to folks being able to reach out to you? And if so, let me let you answer that part of the question. Are you open to talking to new business owners at this time? I know you got some stuff going
Sure.
on with the business and writing this book. And if so, where can they reach you? How do they get in touch with you?
Sure, they can call us at 888-611-7725 and
Again,
and
888
eight 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 six one
611.
one 7725. 888-611-7725.
Okay.
That's the phone number, or you can call, or you can go to honorservicesoffice.com and check us out. One of the things that I like to do is walk with individuals for about 10 weeks. And so what we do is we talk about the features of your business. We talk about what you're planning on doing for the next 10 weeks. Plan that out, and to now I'm giving away most of my book, but plan that out into sprints, and so we develop what you're going to be working on for the next 10 weeks so that you can go ahead and deliver something that's meaningful to your business, kind of in a quick fashion. And what that is it'll be a smaller chunk of the bigger vision so that people can get the value. It's called a minimal valuable product out there. And so once you get that MVP out there, then you keep on doing that through iterations throughout the rest of the year. and you keep on going. And so I'll be proud to talk to anyone about that and pray with you about your business.
Yes, and I think prayer is probably more important, and it's obviously more important than anything else right now.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
It is the foundation to fill that hole in our businesses and Stan in our personal lives as well. I want to thank you for taking time out of your day today to join us and to share your knowledge with us about systems and customer relationship management. Before you go, are there any parting words that you have for the folks that will watch this and see this and that are working on their business?
Yes, I do. There is a bigger vision for you. I believe that a lot of people have gone into business and they're looking at their own skills and abilities. They looked at what could make them a quick buck, but God has something a little bit more in store for you. And I want you to be able to explore that because you may be looking at something a little bit too small, and you may be a leader of something that's really going to bring a lot of people to a great point. So I say that just consider looking at something a little bit bigger than yourself.
Man, that drives home with me. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you for encouraging us to dream a little bigger, to think a little bigger, to get centered, and to do business the right way. So thanks again, Stan. We look forward to hearing from you again, and we'll bring you back when that book is available so you can talk about that book as well.
Absolutely.
All right. Thanks a lot, Stan. Have a great day.
All right. Thanks a bunch.
All right.
All right. Take care.